Considering that we are now in the latter half of 2024, it really does call into question what 2025 will look like in terms of Transformers figures. Now, of course, this is Hasbro, and we do have an extensive list on what 2025 will give us for each line of Transformers figures that we will get. But regardless of that, I still do have some hopes that we will get more that we know of. So this is definitely going to be more of a discussion-based video, and I'm definitely going to be curious to know what your guys' opinions will be on the comments for what you want for the next year of Transformers. Now, as is, the leak lists are really good looking to say the least, and we are getting a lot of new figures that people have wanted, and a lot of re-releases that people have wanted for a long time. I'm personally very much looking forward to getting my hands on the Dark of the Moon Shockwave and the Studio Series 86 Grimlock, because those are both figures that I unfortunately missed out on, and I can't wait to finally get my hands on. But I will say there are some re-releases that we're going to get that I don't really think is worth the slot. I will say that it is a bit weird that we are getting a re-release of 86 Perceptor, considering that he was shelf warming as early as this year, and we are also getting a re-release of 86 Jazz, but considering that he is currently in the 5-pack Gen Select, I think this is a weird pick to say the least. But enough of looking at the re-releases, let's actually look at what we are getting new in terms of next year. Now, of course, I cannot cover every single leak that we have had, because otherwise I would be here for hours, but I will cover the ones in particular that I'm either really excited for or really could not care about. And first and foremost, 86 Devastator. Oh my god, I genuinely cannot wait to have my hands on an 86 Devastator, and I have full confidence that Hasbro are going to more than deliver on it, considering how good Menasor was. But I will say it's going to be an absolute nightmare to secure the pre-order for every single one, because I can guarantee you a lot of people are going to be after this combiner. We're finally going to be getting an Ape-Link for Rise of the Beast, and of course it is just going to be a retool of the Leader Class Optimus Primal, but I'm not mad at that, and while I personally don't own the Rise of the Beast Maximals, I really do think it will make for an amazing figure. We're also getting an Age of Extinction Optimus, and I cannot wait to have the Knight design in hand. I actually talk about it more in depth in this video right here, so if you are curious more about my thoughts on that leak, check that out. We're also finally going to be getting that Dark of the Moon Hatchet, and it's so nice to see that it finally made its way out of the render. Him and 86 Hound finally exist, to say the least, and it's really nice to see, but personally I still won't be picking it up because I don't own the other guys. The two last I want to mention for the main line of Studio Series, one is going to be the Dark of the Moon Q, and I really think this is either going to be an amazing design or an absolutely terrible one, but will I pick it up? Maybe. The last one I do have hope for is that Deluxe Class Movie 6 Bumblebee, and it is the implication that it's a Bumblebee movie Bumblebee, and I'm really hoping they reapproach the Beetle, because I've got to say that currently speaking, the only option for a Beetle Bumblebee is absolutely horrendous, because it covers the concept art and functionally it is absolute hot garbage. But that is about the main look at Studio Series and what we know we're going to be getting next year. But as for the subcategories of the line, Studio Series 86 is going to be a very interesting year in my opinion, because it's going to be very difficult to top this year considering that we got Commander Class Optimus. Now of course we are getting the 86 Devastator, and I was too excited to not mention it first, but what do I want from the rest of the line for the year? Now unfortunately I do think that Devastator is going to take up a majority of the 86 budget, but I do think there's still a lot of space for 86 line for 2025, and in my opinion I think it's going to have the Commander Class again. Now what Commander Class, you may be asking? I really do think next year is going to be the year for Rodimus Prime. Now it's been long enough since we've had him in Kingdom, so I think they're going to reapproach him as a nice 3-year span of having Ultra Magnus, Optimus Prime, and Rodimus Prime. The only other ones that we somewhat know of could be happening, but they're not directly in the leak lists, is going to be 86 Megatron and 86 Galvatron, and I really do have hope for both of these modes, because as we're somewhat aware, Megatron will finally be ditching the Siege mold, and I couldn't be happier to say the least. As for the Galvatron, I do hope that we are going to get a new mold, but honestly I really do think the Kingdom Legacy mold is more than fine, and I really do think it already already blends in perfectly with Studio Series 86. But outside of all of that, is there any other figures I think we could expect? And honestly, I'm not sure. In the ideal world, we would get an 86 version of Skywarp and Thundercracker, but unfortunately, as you'll find out in a minute, I don't think it's going to be next year, but I really do hope they're soon. But the only other one I can really think of is going to be an 86 Cliffjumper using the 86 Bumblebee molds, because I really don't feel like tracking down that buzzworthy Bumblebee one, to say the least, and I also think he's just in need of an update. But that's about it for 86. Let's move on to the next subline of Studio Series, and that is of course the Gamer Edition. We do have a couple of confirmations for next year. We have Ironhide, Thundercracker and Skywarp, and that's why I don't think we'll get the 86 versions. Now I am very happy with these picks, to say the least, and I can't wait to actually have them in hand, because I do pick up all of the Gamer Edition figures as they go along. As for what else I would like to see next year, my main one is probably going to be a Warpath. I truly do love the Warpath design from War for Cybertron, and I really do think it'll translate very well into a figure. But hopefully we will get more than a Warpath. If I had to pick maybe another design or another character that I would like to see in the Gamer Edition next year, my main answer would probably be a Soundwave, because I truly do love the War for Cybertron Soundwave design, and I think he would look absolutely amazing with Megatron, but someone can obviously dream, and that's going to be me. But that's about it for Studio Series, I guess. There's not really much else I need to cover in terms of Studio Series for next year, and let me know your opinion on everything I said. But of course, we're now going to have to talk about the end of Legacy. Now, I am very much gutted about the end of Legacy, to say the least, and I really do wish it would stick around, because I really do believe it's one of the best lines that we've had in recent time. Now, it is sorely going to be missed, but it is going to be replaced by something called the Prime line, and to say the least, I am very much looking forward to this. Now, by the looks of it, it is essentially going to be Legacy reskinned, because obviously they need to keep their shareholders happy. But I really do think it's going to give a new approach to certain characters, and I'm very much looking forward to that. We're going to be getting new figures of the 13 original Primes, and I really can't wait to get my hands on all of them, and I will surely be pre-ordering them as they go along. Now, I am praying and I'm begging that Hasbro makes new molds for each of the Primes, and I know that's going to be expensive, but I really do think it'll be worth it in the long run. But like I said, outside of that, we are getting more Legacy-esque releases, and like with Studio Series, I'm not going to be able to cover them all, so here are some of my highlights. A 2001 Robots in Disguise Skybite is honestly an incredible thing to see in the leak list, because I really did not think that we would see a figure like that in modern day, but I'm gonna have to see it before I decide whether I want it or not. There is a deluxe class Swindle in this leak list, and I have to say I'm very much eager to see if this does become a Bruticus. But honestly, a part of me is also hoping that it doesn't, because then it will make room for a Fall of Cybertron Bruticus down the line. There is also an air raid in this leak list, and it is making me curious if we're going to be getting a Superion Combiner, and I will say I would love to see that in the modern day, because we are sorely missing a modern day Autobot Combiner to go next to Menasor. There is also an animated Wasp in this leak list, and I will say that whilst I have my problems with the animated Bumblebee mold, I will definitely be picking this guy up. But that is most of what I wanted to cover in the leak list, because I'm mostly excited about the Primes and the Legacy aspect stuff that we are seeing. Now, what am I also hoping for this line? Whilst I am hoping for more unique takes on certain characters, I'm also praying that they do hold up the standard that Legacy have been setting, and while they're not fully pushing out new designs of old characters, I hope they continue to do it to a certain extent. Now, what characters would I like to see in the Prime line? Now, in my opinion, I would like to see more Transformers Prime figures make their way onto the shelves, but I would like to see more original molds, because recently we are just getting redecos of pre-existing molds. Now, that's not to say I don't like these retools. I am actively hunting down a Cliffjumper as we speak. I just don't want to buy the 4-pack. But I am hoping that we get more characters in more unique designs, and more importantly, new molds. The other series that is getting covered that I want to talk about is animated, and there's two words: more please. because I really do like these animated figures, but like Transformers Prime, it is suffering from retools and redecos to say the least. But similar, like I said, to Cliffjumper, I've already mentioned that I'm going to be picking up Wasp as is, but I really don't care about animated Motormaster, and it feels like just an excuse to reuse the animated Optimus mold. The other thing that was definitely on my mind when it came to the new Prime line is what's it going to have for the Commander class for 2025, and I do have one hope. A Commander class Lugnut would go absolutely hard, to say the least, and Hasbro clearly knows that the fans want a new Lugnut because he's one of the most sought after figures in recent time. But outside of the Lugnut pick, I really cannot think of another character that could get the Commander class price point next year. But of course, Hasbro will most definitely surprise me, and I will most likely buy it. There's only two other things I can really think of when it comes to next year for Transformers figures, one being what could be a Titan class, and one being what could be the HasLab. Now as for the Titan class, I really do hope we finally get a new take on Trypticon, because I really do think he would make a standout Titan. He's also the only main Titan class figure that I can't think of that we haven't had in recent time, because we have Omega Supreme, we have Metroplex, and we have the Nemesis and the Ark, but we don't have Trypticon, and I really do think he would make for an amazing looking Titan class. The last thing is of course going to be the HasLab, and I'm personally very much looking forward to seeing what next year could be. As for what it could be realistically, I don't know. But if I could hope and I could pray, I would love to see a HasLab attempt at a Primus. I really do think it would stand amazing next to the HasLab Unicron, and I think it would make for an amazing display piece in the collection. But unfortunately, I don't know if it would happen. But again, I can dream. But let me know what you guys think about everything that I've said in this video, and let me know if you do agree with it or if you don't, and what you would like to see in Studio Series or the Prime line next year. But that about does it for today, guys, and I hope you enjoyed. Thank you for watching. Take care. Okay, boom!